Zelensky was meeting at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and you might go, he doesn't seem rich enough to be to be speaking at Davos. But the truth is, he and his upper echelon have pilfered, according to Seymour Hersh, roughly $400 million, and that was several months ago. So it's probably more than that now, probably $500 million by now. But $400 million from the aid that the U.S. has been sending over there. So much has been stolen by Ukrainian officials that even the CIA apparently had a meeting with Zelensky where they asked him to back off the theft. It was, according to Seymour Hersh, apparently they had a meeting where they were like, look, we know you're going to pilfer some of it, but this is it's kind of all crazy. Could you just steal a little less of the money we're sending you to perpetrate this proxy war? Anyway, so he's speaking over at Davos. He spoke over at Davos, and I've brought to you many over the past several months, many moments, many articles, many quotes from higher up officials who have said that this thing is over. That nothing is changing in Ukraine. Even the New York Times admitted that the border, the ground that they're fighting over, has barely changed over the entire 2023, the entire year. Almost nothing changed in the location of the Russian and Ukrainian troops. So most people, even in these governments, the U.S. government, Ukrainian government, realize it's over, it's done. You're not gonna change much. And so obviously the next step is, hey, let's stop killing people and let's just come with some sort of agreement so that this ends. But Zelensky, among a few war hawks in the U.S. government, are not siding with that and are saying, "Oh no, we got to fight till every Russian is kicked out of Ukraine," which will never happen. So basically, Zelensky just wants this war to go on forever. Now, I'm sure he's probably not dumb enough to not realize that the moment this thing's over, the U.S. is done with him, and he will be on his own. He might end up Gaddafi'd in the streets. He might end up just, fleeing and retiring to Morocco. I don't know. But the point is, he won't have his U.S. sugar daddy anymore, and he won't have his U.S. protection anymore. And once he's out of the presidency, and so he kind of needs this thing to go on to protect himself. Even if he's gotten his fill of stealing the money, I don't know. But he kind of needs this to keep going to protect himself. So it makes sense that he would keep fighting for this. He also seems to not care about actual Ukrainian people. As I brought you previous articles saying that so many of the Ukrainian fighters have been killed that now Ukraine is calling up 45-year-olds and 50-year-olds to fight on their front lines because they've basically most of their military age men are dead or wounded, and that's how bad it's getting, that they're now having to resort to that. Anyway, in the speech to the WEF in Davos this week, Ukrainian President Zelensky called for a just and stable peace, but maintained that a ceasefire to freeze the conflict with Russia at current lines remained unacceptable. And Russia's been has been putting out feelers for a ceasefire. They want to end it, but Zelensky in the U.S., many in the U.S., not all, but many in the U.S. want to keep it going. The U.S. wants to keep it going just because they think it's draining Russia. But, nowadays with Israel committing mass genocide, very few people are even paying attention to the proxy war in Ukraine. Zelensky remains committed to his vision of a 10-point peace formula, which calls for, among other things, the withdrawal of all Russian troops from all Ukrainian territory, including the Donbass region, which was out of Ukrainian control for the most part, even before this started, and the prosecution of Russian officials for war crimes. So basically, in his list of stipulations, the first and second one make it a non-starter, make it so that no Russian is ever going to sit down at the table and agree to anything. It's just a non-starter. It's basically like saying his stipulations are every Russian just kill themselves. And you got to agree to that for me to even begin to talk. It's just a non-starter. It's meaningless. Here's a quote from the New York Times. Those demands are considered by analysts and even politicians backing the proposal to be unreachable given the current balance of forces on the battlefield. Yeah, you think? Every Russian troop to leave, even though Russia has largely won this thing, every Russian troop to leave and every Russian official to be prosecuted for war crimes. China's decision not to meet with Ukrainians appeared intentional and not the result of a scheduling problem. So China wouldn't meet with them. Um, anyway, I just wanted to bring that real quick. It's basically Zelensky is, he's a leper at this event, and the even the U.S., which continues to back this proxy war, doesn't really want to be like, they're not like, this is our guy, because they know, they've seen the writing on the wall. They know where this is going. They know what's going to happen. The only way this ever ends is some sort of peace table agreement that basically says, Russia is entitled to a bunch of areas they've won in this proxy war. But as many of us were saying from day one, this could have been stopped. We know that in that first month, there was a peace agreement that was likely to be signed, and Boris Johnson, representing the U.S. and the U.K., went running over there to stop it and make sure that that Ukraine would fight and destroy their society for the use and benefit of the U.S. empire, as they have done. So anyway, Zelensky getting desperate.